Welcome back to the So What? I'm your host, The Answer. Today we're stepping into territory that many of you have heard about. Maybe you've scrolled past it, maybe you've gone deep down the rabbit hole, maybe you've dismissed it entirely. We're talking about conspiracy theories involving energy harvesting, elite ritual abuse, biochemical extraction, hidden control systems, and the idea that humanity is being farmed, manipulated, or spiritually exploited. You've heard it. But today we're not asking, is it sensational? We're asking, so what? Here's what circulates online and in alternative spaces. That emotional suffering generates some kind of energetic substance, that elites engage in ritual abuse to harvest biochemical compounds from traumatized victims, that powerful institutions are complicit in systemic exploitation, that negative emotional states are intentionally amplified through media and technology, that there are hidden hierarchies controlling reality behind the scenes. Some versions frame this spiritually, some frame it politically, some frame it biologically, and some blend all three. Now let's ground this and explore the facts that might lend some weight to these ideas. Let's separate speculation from reality, but also highlight documented elements that could fuel these narratives. Here are facts. 1. Adrenaline and stress chemistry are real. When humans experience fear or trauma, adrenaline and other stress hormones surge through the body. That's biology. Adrenochrome, a compound derived from oxidized adrenaline, exists and has been studied since the 1950s for its potential hallucinogenic effects, though its medical uses are limited. Conspiracy theories often twist this into claims of elite harvesting, but the compound's real existence and historical research on its mind-altering properties add an intriguing layer. 1. Trauma alters brain function. Severe trauma can fragment personality, disrupt development, and create long-term neurological changes. That's psychology and neuroscience. Government programs like the Central Intelligence Agency's Project MKUltra, declassified in the 1970s, involved real experiments with LSD, hypnosis, electroshock, sensory deprivation, and even sexual abuse to manipulate minds and induce trauma. Over 149 sub-projects tested these methods on unwitting subjects, raising questions about institutional exploitation of human vulnerability. 1. Child trafficking exists, not just in the cinematic ritual sense often portrayed online, but trafficking and abuse are tragically real global issues. High-profile cases like Jeffrey Epstein's network involved elites trafficking minors for sexual exploitation, with millions of documents released showing connections to powerful figures in politics, academia, and finance. While the FBI concluded no broader ring served powerful men, the scale of Epstein's operation and convictions like Ghislaine Maxwell's 20-year sentence highlight systemic complicity among the elite. 1. Media influences emotional states. Research shows that repeated exposure to fear-based content increases anxiety, aggression, and polarization. A 2014 Facebook study demonstrated massive-scale emotional contagion through social networks, where manipulating news feeds altered users' emotional states without their awareness. This ties into broader findings on how misinformation and manipulative content warnings can exploit emotions, potentially amplifying negative states for engagement or control. 1. Institutions have committed documented abuses. History contains verified examples of corruption, exploitation, and unethical experimentation. Beyond Project MKUltra, global organ trafficking rings exploit the poor, with cases in Pakistan busting networks harvesting kidneys from hundreds, and Interpol reports highlighting human trafficking for organ removal in Africa driven by organ shortages. These real-world networks, worth billions annually, echo conspiracy claims of body part harvesting, though without proven ritual elements. 1. Religion-related abuses occur. While widespread satanic cults lack evidence, documented cases include clergy abuse, medical neglect for religious reasons, and extreme practices like beating the devil out of a child. A 1994 study found no substantiation for organized satanic ritual abuse in over 12,000 accusations, but isolated religion-linked traumas exist, adding fuel to ritual abuse narratives. Now pause. Notice what we just did. We separated the emotional intensity of the narrative from the verifiable components, but also noted how these facts might connect to the wilder theories. That's clarity with an edge. Now here's where it shifts. There is no credible scientific evidence that human suffering produces a harvestable metaphysical substance. Elites extract biochemical compounds for youth or immortality, though adrenochrome conspiracies persist, linked to QAnon, without proof of child harvesting. Non-human entities farm human emotional energy. There is a coordinated astral or multidimensional harvesting infrastructure. These elements are belief-based frameworks, not empirically supported realities. Yet documented elite abuses like Epstein's trafficking and Project MKUltra's trauma experiments make some wonder if there's more beneath the surface. And that distinction matters. Here's where it gets interesting. These theories don't spread because people are foolish. They spread because they answer emotional questions. Why is there so much suffering? Why do powerful people get away with corruption, as in Epstein's plea deals and elite connections? Why does the world feel engineered for stress, with media studies showing deliberate emotional manipulation? Why does trauma feel intentional, echoing Project MKUltra's mind control tactics? When systems feel unjust, the mind seeks a pattern. Real scandals like organ trafficking, rings preying on the vulnerable amplify this. A random cruel universe is harder to accept than a structured evil one. Control is psychologically easier to process than chaos. Even if that control is malevolent, that's the paradox. Let's address the energy harvesting narrative. Is emotional energy real? In a metaphorical sense, yes. Emotion drives decision-making, purchasing behavior, voting behavior, social media, engagement, cultural movements. Corporations monetize attention and emotional reaction. Politics mobilizes outrage. Algorithms amplify conflict because conflict increases engagement, as shown in emotional contagion research. Is that harvesting? In a psychological and economic sense, absolutely. In a supernatural soul extraction sense, there is no evidence, though some pseudoscientific concepts like biofields and alternative medicine speculate on subtle human energies. But here's the twist. You don't need aliens to explain exploitation. Human systems, from trafficking networks to government experiments, are capable of extracting value from emotion and bodies all on their own. Now, we get to the heart of it. Let's say you've heard the theories. Let's say parts of them disturb you, bolstered by real facts like elite trafficking scandals. Let's say you're unsure what's true. So what? Here's the grounded answer. If trauma generates vulnerability, then your healing is resistance. If fear drives manipulation, then emotional regulation is power. If outrage is monetized, then clarity is rebellion. If attention is currency, then your focus is sovereignty. Whether or not the extreme versions of these narratives are literal, one truth remains. Your nervous system can be hijacked, your perception can be shaped, your fear can be amplified, and that happens without any cosmic farming required. Though documented abuses make the theories harder to dismiss outright. So what? It means your responsibility is internal mastery, not paranoia, not obsession, not spiraling into hidden enemies, but discipline, grounded awareness, emotional coherence, critical thinking. The greatest risk isn't secret rituals. Though cases like Epstein's Island raise eyebrows, it's losing your ability to think clearly. Conspiracy culture can become its own psychological trap. When everything is intentional evil, nuance disappears. When every institution is pure darkness, complexity collapses. And when fear becomes your filter, you surrender your peace voluntarily. That's not awakening. That's entanglement. Here is the answer. The world contains corruption. It contains injustice. It contains exploitation, like organ rings in Nepal or Central Intelligence Agency mind control projects. But it also contains healing, innovation, truth-seeking, compassion, agency. You are not livestock, you are not a battery, you are not farmed energy. You are a biological organism with a powerful nervous system that can be influenced. And the ultimate sovereignty is this: you choose what you feed. Information, emotion, belief, focus. So what? It means stop outsourcing your power to shadow narratives. Strengthen your mind. Regulate your emotions. Stay grounded. Verify claims. Hold complexity. Reject hysteria. And remember, the most radical act in a world fueled by fear is calm clarity. This has been So What? I'm the answer. And next time you hear something that shakes you, don't just ask, is it true? Ask, so what?